Morning everybody, Mr. Barker here. Quick assembly for you on the topic of getting ready for home study. I've got two things to talk to you about today. One for if you are at home but the rest of the school is in school, and secondly for if a whole class or a whole year group has to go home, which I'll come on to later. Firstly, if you are off school for some reason, perhaps you've got symptoms of coronavirus or somebody at home has got symptoms or you're waiting for a test, then obviously you'll be missing out on the lessons that are taking place in school without you. Therefore, to help you with this, you may have already seen that on your Show My Homework account, or on Satchel 1 as it's now properly called, you might have seen some work being set called absent students work or some classwork for absent students. Now this is the core work that we're expecting people to do if they miss a lesson for the reasons I said before. All you got to do is go on there, complete the work and bring it back in when you're ready to come back to school. It'll mean that you don't fall behind and you don't have to catch up afterwards. It does mean though that if you are in school, that on your Show My Homework account you might see lots and lots of work set called work for absent students. If you were in school during the lessons, all you've got to do is delete that and keep your Show My Homework account nice and tidy. Now the main point of this assembly is to talk to you about what might happen if a whole class or a whole year group has to be sent home. Now we hope this never happens to us, but you might have seen in the news that lots and lots of schools have had to do this. If we have positive coronavirus cases, then we might be asked to send year groups or classes home. And if that's the case, we want to make sure we're ready, that you are ready, and that we as teachers are ready, and the school is ready, so that you don't fall behind and we don't have to do lots more catch up when you get back to school. So, if the worst case happens and a year group has to go home or a set of classes has to go home, then you'll probably be off school for 14 days. In that case, what we'll do in the first 1 or 2 school days is we'll set work on Show My Homework to match the lessons you would have had that day. So that might be just some work you do on your own. However, after day 3 or even before, possibly in some subjects, we'll start running live lessons through Microsoft Teams, which will be run by your class teacher, or if they're not available, by another teacher, and it will usually just be the people in your class together in that Teams. So if you are in year 8, 9, 10 or 11 and you took part in these last summer where the whole year group took part in a session, it won't be quite like that. It'll just be your class with your teacher, which means that you'll be able to hear your teacher, you'll be able to see the resources on the screen, and more importantly, you'll be able to speak to your teacher and ask questions if you are stuck. So if your year group is locked down, then we will ask that you go on Teams for your form tutor session at 8:35 in the morning. Your form tutor will be there and they'll say hello and they'll make sure that you're ready for the day ahead. Your head of year will check to make sure you're up and ready for the day, and if not, we'll get in touch to find out what's gone wrong. After that, you'll follow your normal school timetable. So if you had maths period 1, you'll go on to your maths team, your maths teacher will be there, they'll talk to you about the lesson ahead, they'll set you the work and off you go. Your lessons will often just be 40 minutes long, but they'll start when your normal lessons would have started in school. Sometimes your teacher will talk to you for the full 40 minutes and teach a proper lesson. Other times they may set up some tasks and ask you to go away and get on with it, and they may or may not stay around to answer questions if you're stuck. It'll depend on what work your teacher wants you to do. Taking part in lessons is really easy. You'll be able to hear your teacher, like we say. Your camera won't be enabled, so there's no danger that people will be able to see you, but you will be able to talk to your teacher if you need to. The best way to do that is to keep your microphone muted and then raise your hand if you've got a question, and your teacher will ask you what the question is. Or it might be that your teacher asks for people to volunteer answers, in which case you'll be able to just speak like you would do as if you were in class. During the lessons there'll be work to be done, and we would recommend obviously that you do your work in your exercise books. Nobody should be keeping exercise books in school. You've got to take responsibility for your own books for this very reason, so that if your year group is out of school for any reason, you can do the work at home, and then after the 14 days you can bring it into school, show it to your teachers and get your work checked. Now, if you're not sure how to access Microsoft Teams, there's some information on the screen here, and I'll ask your form tutors to put this information back on again after I finish talking, so you can make any notes you need to make about how to access Microsoft Teams. And when you get on Teams, you'll see that we have recreated the whole school timetable in Teams, and so you'll be able to find the right lessons and the right class for the day that you've got in school. So for example, if you've got French period 1, you'll be able to find your French class, you'll be able to join that session at the right time when your French lesson would have started, you'll meet your teacher, the rest of your classmates will be there, and the lesson will take place. Now, as with anything, things can go wrong, so if you have any technical issues, then our fantastic network support team will be here to help. Obviously, they may be quite busy, so if you can't get on Teams for some reason, you can email network.support@marplehull.stockport.sch.uk. You can do it yourself, or your parents can do it, and we'll try our best to get you sorted before the next lessons. Finally, the lessons will be recorded, and so if there's something you don't understand, or if something went wrong and you need to go back and look at it later, you'll be able to watch the whole lesson and find out what you missed, or go back and check the work that you weren't sure of. So to finish, our expectations of you are that if a year group or a class has to lock down, then we expect 100% of you to attend all the lessons like a normal school day, that unless you're using your mobile phone for the lesson itself, you should have it switched off or put in another room so it doesn't disturb you. We would expect you to participate in lessons when asked to, and obviously you behave respectfully like we expect you to do all the time. That you will tell us if you've got a problem. You won't just leave it for a week. You'll get in touch with us and say, this is why I can't get online. And finally, all the work you do in that fortnight, you'll bring into school after the 2 weeks. So your teacher knows that you've done it, and then the lessons can carry on as normal. It's really important, people, that we don't slow down the recovery that we're currently taking part in terms of education. It might be that we have to close classes or year groups, and we may have no control over that whatsoever. But what we can control is that the teachers and the staff in school can deliver lessons for you, and you can take part in them. And that is absolutely what we intend to happen. So thank you for listening. Your phone tutors now can open the other version of the PowerPoint and go through it step by step. We really hope that we don't have to lock down a year group, but if we do, we're going to be ready. Thank you.